I'm Bruce Dale.
And I'm Dave McRae.
And you're off the reel.
Make him dance, paper boy.
So welcome back. We want to thank everybody for all the views that we received on the first episode. We had over 10,000 views.
And counting.
Yeah. It was quite incredible. So we want to thank everybody who has started tuning in and participating. It's awesome to have you guys on board. So yeah.
It totally is. Thanks so much, guys. You know, we really appreciate it. The feedback's been great.
Yep.
It's been positive. There's been some great critiques as well. And because, you know, we're just getting started here. You know, we got a lot of shows coming to you.
Yeah.
And it's going to be exciting. And today's show, Bruce.
That's right.
Today, really exciting.
Yeah. We thought it would be great for us to let you guys get to know us a little bit more. And we thought a fun way for you guys to get to know us is, of course, through some of our favorite movies. We're going to kind of bounce back and forth.
Yeah, okay. So we're going to do that?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Sounds good.
But you know what? Let's bring up our, let's actually bounce back and forth. I think that's sort of the best ones.
Okay.
The best way to go.
Yeah, you want to bounce back and forth.
All right.
So here's Bruce's list of,
this is my
some
list.
of his top 5.
That's right. So Training Day, again, amazing. Inception, Memento, 300, and The Matrix. And again, 2 of them Christopher Nolan films, big Christopher Nolan fan. And just the others, like, I don't know, groundbreaking for different reasons. So what about yours?
Mine are, in no particular order, by the way,
Hopefully you guys can see this.
The Shawshank Redemption, The Empire Strikes Back, Halloween, The Green Mile, and Jaws.
Yeah.
I mean...
Yeah, all really good ones.
Yeah.
And again...
Exactly. And all for different reasons as well.
That's right.
Of why they're my favorites. Or in my top... 5 of my favorite films.
Exactly, yeah, same. So, okay, so pick one.
Okay.
Which one do you want to talk about first?
I'm going to start with The Shawshank Redemption.
All right.
It's up there on the list.
So we're going to talk to you guys about like why we like these films,
Yeah.
why they're part of some of our top favorite films.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And now, The Shawshank Redemption came out in 1994, okay? Based on a story written by Stephen King, okay? Directed by Frank Darabont. But when it came out, it wasn't a box office success. It didn't make a lot of money. Not a lot of people went to see The Shawshank Redemption. But the critics absolutely loved it. They went wild for it. It was nominated for 7 Academy Awards, including Best Picture, Best Adapted Screenplay for Frank Darabont, Best Actor for Morgan Freeman, okay, and many others as well. You know, the general population didn't really start to take notice of it until a few years later when it came out on cable, right? And when it hit VHS, you know, in all the video stores. That's when people started to be like, hey, this is a really incredible movie. What I love about The Shawshank Redemption, okay, and this is kudos to not just Stephen King, but the way Frank Darabont, through his directing, is able to get the best out of his actors. I mean, Tim Robbins, Morgan Freeman, phenomenal in that film.
Yeah.
The mood was fantastic. The pacing was unbelievable.
Yeah.
The story was amazing. The way Frank Darabont was able to adapt that story and put it onto the screen in an outstanding adaptation. It's one of the greatest adaptations in the, in the history of motion pictures. All right? Because, books don't always translate that well to screen, especially Stephen King books. There's this scene towards the end of The Shawshank Redemption where Morgan Freeman is walking through this field and you see all it's in the middle of the summer, right? And you see these, little grasshoppers hopping and he's in the distance and the way the sun, is beating down on top of him and, it feels like summer, like I can smell the air. I can feel it. It's like I'm with Morgan Freeman walking up to this oak tree. It's calm and it's quiet and I don't think there's any music at that point, but you just hear the nature, the sounds of summer. It is just an awesome scene. The mood, the atmosphere, the character development, the performances, and the pacing of the film is just awesome. That's why it's in my top 5.
Awesome. Love it. So one of my favorites is the movie Memento, so directed by Christopher Nolan. And it was, as far as I understand, the film that put him on the map in terms of recognition with Hollywood. What I loved about this film was the directing style.
Right.
The writing was very good. The story was very simple.
Yes.
And I'm a big fan of films that play with time frames, that play with time travel in different capacities. This one does play with time, but it's more of a psychological thriller, I'll call it. And just the way Nolan, like, I describe this movie, it's like the moonwalk. Okay? It's like Michael Jackson's moonwalk, because you're traveling forward in time with the story, but when you watch it, you're moving backwards at the same time, right? You look like you're walking forward, but you're traveling backwards.
That is a fantastic analogy.
Memento is like the moonwalk. And it was just so well crafted. And I love the play, are we inside this guy's head? Are we actually imagining this? Like, what's going on? And yet, again, one of the things I love is that at the very beginning, we're in that abandoned building, and that's the same spot where our story concludes, right? So, I like it when it's like all the answers are presented right there in front of you from jump, and then you cycle around in this circular pattern of the storytelling, and then return back at your beginning point. So again, the biggest reason for me is love the writing, loved the reveals, which leads to the directing. And ultimately, it's really the directing that stands out for me. I think Nolan's a terrific director, and I just thought it was really well crafted that way.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, okay, let's. I'm just going to go down in order here. The Empire Strikes Back. At that time, it was the sequel to the largest box office success in motion picture history, Star Wars, which came out in '77, 3 years prior.
Yeah.
So this was hugely anticipated. Mm-hmm. People weren't sure what was going to happen. The Empire Strikes Back is the epitome of what all sequels should be.
Yeah, I agree.
And one of the things that I just love about The Empire Strikes Back, one of the things that I love most is the way the information is revealed. Mm-hmm. Okay, this film feels very natural. I really feel like the story is progressing in an authentic and real and genuine way.
Yeah.
The way the information is revealed, I'm learning new stuff that doesn't feel forced. Nothing feels forced and shoved down my throat. It feels real and authentic.
Which I think is pretty cool.
It is the darkest chapter of every Star Wars film. All 6 films to date.
Yeah.
It is the darkest chapter.
Yeah.
And Yoda, the dialogue written for Yoda was brilliant. It was fantastic. I also love that we finally get to learn a bit more about this mystical power called the Force, right?
Yeah.
We finally get to truly understand what the Force is really all about.
They took it
The Empire
to a
Strikes
whole new
Back
level
has some
there.
of the best lines out of any Star Wars film. Everything from profound things like do or do not, there is no try. Judge me by my size, do you? I don't believe it. That is why you failed. Don't make me destroy you. I am your father.
Yeah.
To silly things like you half-witted, scruffy-looking nerf herder. I mean, just the lines are great. They're memorable lines. I love you. I know. I mean, come on.
Right.
Unbelievable. And for me, it has the best lightsaber battle out of any Star Wars film. That iconic scene when Luke Skywalker rises up in the chamber and the lights turn on and you hear Darth Vader breathing and he says, "The Force is with you, young Skywalker, but you were not a Jedi yet." Oh, goosebumps. Every time I hear it and see it, goose freaking bumps. To me, doesn't feel forced. It doesn't feel like I'm watching a sequel
right.
for the sake of there being a sequel.
Yep.
It really feels like this is something that's supposed to be there.
Yeah.
And that's why I love The Empire Strikes Back.
Cool. All right. So I'll take it from the top with this one, Training Day. All right. So I love a good drama. And, Denzel being nominated for Academy Award.
He won it.
And he did win. That's right. And, King Kong ain't got shit on me, Love that line. And my favorite part, right? I just like Denzel's character, again, like the directing was fantastic.
Right.
I love what the director does with this. And just, again, the performance of the actors. I thought Ethan Hawke, Denzel played off each other really, really well.
Right.
I thought it was well written. It was gritty. It had, yes, it had the flair of Hollywood in it, but again, it had an independent quality to it as well.
Sure.
And, like, again, one of my favorite lines is, so how far is it to the office? You looking at it, baby. Right? And he gets in, and then you hear Dre's track drop, and it's still Dre, and you're like, okay. I was hooked.
You were hooked.
At that point,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
thought Denzel was badass and the coolest thing since sliced bread at that point. And as soon as that track dropped, and we cut to just shots of this car, it's like hydraulic. Like, I'm sold.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, and be honest. Now, I know you love the movie, but try to look at this objectively here. Now,
Okay.
Denzel Washington was nominated for an Academy Award for his role in Training Day.
Yeah.
Which he won.
Yeah.
But a lot of people, and even myself included, do not feel that was. He was great, but do not feel that it was his best performance up to that point. I think some people feel that he was given the Academy Award because he didn't get it or wasn't nominated for films prior to that, such as Malcolm X, right? Such as Philadelphia for Best Supporting Actor. Such as, I think there was a couple other movies in there where he could have been as well. And some people feel that it was sort of like just we didn't give it to him last year, so we got to give it to him now. It was good, but it wasn't his best performance that he's ever done.
Well, this is the thing is that Malcolm X, I found the film boring at times. I don't feel like it was the pacing of the film.
Right.
He did a great job. Like I believe that he was Malcolm X, but no, there was something about his performance in Training Day that was on the mark. Like it was like, I still think I honestly do think it was one of his best performances of his career. I really do think that so far. Because the character was so three-dimensional. You saw it in different ways. I don't think that he was strictly two-dimensional, but you could sort of see the underlying layers, especially as you get towards the end. You see some of the pressure and the stress mount. You see that he's this big hothead. There was just something about it. It was just, again, it was the writing, it was the directing, and it was the performances of the actors. Just a rock-solid drama. I love the incorporation of aspects of hip-hop culture into it. And, of course, I'm a big fan, like, totally follow. And it was...
So you're one of those people that definitely feel, no, he deserved it.
Absolutely.
This is the one.
Absolutely.
Okay, fair enough. Awesome.
Absolutely.
So Training Day.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. It was just a badass film.
It was just a badass
And great
film.
drama. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Really liked it.
Awesome. Okay, so I'm just going to go in order again. Halloween. Now, Halloween, as Bruce knows, is not only one of my favorite horror movies, my favorite horror movies of all time, but it is legitimately one of my favorite movies of all time. Right. Now, I'm a big horror guy, not a blood, guts, and gore guy, but I love mood and atmosphere and suspense, real smart mood, atmosphere, and suspense, okay? Yeah. Now, Halloween came out in the fall of 1978. It was shot in the spring of 78. It was directed by John Carpenter. It was also Jamie Lee Curtis's very first film role. Now, she was, I think, 21 or 22 at the time, and she was supposed to be playing someone who was about 17.
And I have to say, I didn't believe that she was 17 when I watched the film for the first time. I actually thought that she was a university student.
Right. Not in high school?
No, not at all. I totally thought that, because she looked like she was like 20, 21,
Yeah, and some of the dialogue was pretty wooden, but what do you get? It was shot at $350,000, I think it was, went on to make over $50 million, I think, at the box office. At the time, it was the most successful independent movie ever made. But anyway, so a little bit of history there about Halloween. But the reason why I love Halloween is because Halloween is the perfect example of what you can do with nothing.
Yeah.
Okay? This film totally relies on that smart mood, atmosphere, and suspense. It's what you think you see. It's what you think you hear. They always keep the main villain, right? The main character there, Michael Myers, they always keep him in the shadows. You know he's there, but you're not quite sure where he is. I absolutely love that. Now, Halloween is about this 6-year-old boy who kills his older sister on Halloween night in 1963, okay? And we don't know why. He's put away for 15 years. He escapes when he's 21 years old. He goes back to his hometown of Haddonfield to kill again. But why? Why is the question, right? John Carpenter's score, we all know. An iconic score, and we know that the music in Halloween lifted that little independent film through the roof. I mean, without that amazing score, not just the theme, but the other little,
Well, we know,
bits and bobs.
it's music and sound that grounds the film, and a really good theme takes it to a whole other level, right?
Level.
The theme is incredible. It's one of my ringtones, by the way.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Now, the movie also stars Donald Pleasence, okay? Now, Donald Pleasence has been dead now for about 20 years or so. But Donald Pleasence brought to Halloween what Alec Guinness brought to the first Star Wars film, a sense of credibility,
Yeah.
okay? Where people stood up, took notice, and was like, well, hang on a sec now. He's in this film? Well, hang on a sec. Now, maybe we need to pay attention to this little thing here, right? Now, I would be absolutely crazy if I stopped my little rant here of why I love Halloween so much and didn't talk about The Mask. The Mask, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
The mask that Michael Myers wears is absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
The first Halloween, not those crazy sequels afterwards, but I'm talking about in this first Halloween, and for the most part, Halloween 2 as well, because essentially it's like one movie with two separate parts, right? But everything else after that, please, just go, it's scrap, all right? Now, this mask is, for those of you who don't know, it is actually a 1970s Captain Kirk mask. It's a William Shatner mask. But what they did was they tore off the sideburns, they messed up the hair, they cut the eye holes open a bit larger, they spray painted the mask white, and voila. What you have here is something incredibly creepy. It's an emotionless human face that is just white. There's no emotion to it. And in the dark, in the shadows, my God, it's one of the most creepiest things you've ever seen. It has since become an iconic mask in the world of horror and in the motion picture industry in general. And it's just total. I love it. Absolutely love this mask. Halloween, definitely a huge influence on me as a filmmaker because of those things. I love the horror genre, and I think if more films were like Halloween, modernized, but those types of principles.
Yeah,
how we abide by
the class, the tastefulness, and the crafting of the filmmaking, of the storytelling. Yeah,
it's dated now, of course, but
sure,
amazing.
Right.
So anyway, you're
all
next.
right, I'm going to talk about The Matrix. All right, so The Matrix was another favorite of mine. Going to see it in the theater, I had no idea what I was going to get, and I think most people would say that. The big freeze system that they used to shoot it with.
It was revolutionary.
Yes, it was. Absolutely revolutionary, incredible.
No one had seen anything like it.
No. And it did have an emergence and a development on the underground scene.
Yes.
Like a lot of different film trends and whatnot, and on the independent scene, and then made its way to Hollywood. The visual effects. But again, I'm a big fan of fantasy, sci-fi adventure, and this just hit it home. Again, the play between realities. I love the philosophical context of the film. I wish as the Matrix Reloaded and the Matrix Revolutions, I wish that those had, I said that, it's Revolutions, right? The third one?
Matrix, yes, it's the Matrix Reloaded, and the Matrix Revolutions, I think.
Yeah,
yes.
Okay. So I wish that they had actually done more with the philosophical part of it and the ethical debate. So I've always been a big fan of artificial intelligence and films that deal with artificial intelligence, and I've always had a fascination with that. And the advancement of computers, computer technology, all of that. I'm very excited. And they had illustrated this elaborate comic. It was a graphic novel, essentially, what they had created. That became, of course, it's the blueprint for the film, but it was the first visual realization. But the level that they took it to, of course, storyboard art is just gorgeous, like, especially with any of these major sci-fi films, they go all out. But this one in particular, the Wachowski brothers were specific at maintaining the vision that was drawn in the storyboards, and they crafted that, and they were able to achieve that same image, that same framing, that same vision on the screen in camera as they were doing it.
Right.
And the other thing that I loved about it, one of the things I love most about science fiction is it's always been agreed that it is a safe ground to explore modern social issues that are directly relevant to today's world. And it can be a deconstruction of what's happening in the real world. It can be a commentary, and very much The Matrix was that, of course. So for me, it was something that was intelligent, but had the high production value that you come to expect from Hollywood, but was extremely intelligent in its delivery and its execution.
It was.
That's why I loved it. Yeah.
Awesome. And that's The Matrix, 1999 it came out. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, so the next one for you.
Well, the next one for me is, I'll just go right in order here, The Green Mile. Now, The Green Mile is another Frank Darabont film. Mm-hmm. It was directed by Frank Darabont, the same guy that directed The Shawshank Redemption. It's also based on a Stephen King book as well.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Now, The Green Mile stars Tom Hanks and the late Michael Clark Duncan, who passed away a few years ago. The Green Mile, all the reasons why I love The Shawshank Redemption are pretty much the same reasons why I love The Green Mile.
Right.
The pacing in that movie,
Yeah.
the character development in that movie.
Yeah.
And that's not just kudos to Frank Darabont. That's kudos to Stephen King as well. The way he writes and crafts his characters and the way Frank Darabont translates that onto the screen, he is exceptional at that. And one of the big jobs for a director, aside from making sure that his set is running properly and that everybody's doing what they're supposed to be doing and that he's working with the DOP and the camera operator and making sure everything aesthetically is the way they want it, the number one job for a director is to make sure that they get the best performances out of their actors.
Right.
And Frank Darabont, and that's my opinion, and Frank Darabont is fantastic at that. Tom Hanks is great. Now, Tom Hanks is a great actor regardless.
Yeah.
So it's probably not hard to get a great performance out of Hanks. But again, The Green Mile, the pacing of it, the mood, the soundtrack is fantastic. I love the moody music of The Green Mile. The cinematography is brilliant. Every scene, Frank Darabont is extraordinary at this, and he's like this with the Shawshank Redemption as well. Every scene, no matter if it's 30 seconds or 2 minutes, feels fulfilled and complete, and has a beginning and a middle and an end. And even if the scene is 10 seconds long, you feel like it's 2 minutes, and not in a bad way.
Yeah.
Like full. It's
He's good
just
with his
full.
pacing.
He's great with his pacing. So The Green Mile, again, love the mood, love the soundtrack, love the atmosphere, love the characters, love the story, love the conflict that Tom Hanks's character is faced with, because this is 1930s and everything speaks 1930s, of course, right? The wardrobe, the set, the cars, this, that, and then all of a sudden you have this character that has these supernatural powers that you would see in a modern day film.
Yeah.
And I always loved that element to it. That is why it's in one of my top 5, because of those things. Frank Darabont is just extraordinary with telling a story.
So the next one I want to talk about is Inception. So Inception, again, great play on time, another independent produced film with by Christopher Nolan.
Yeah.
And again, Christopher Nolan's piece. So, we've both selected the same director's work twice.
Yes, we
in
have.
our lists. And again, with Inception, I really do enjoy the performances from Tom Hardy and Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah.
All of these
Ellen
guys.
Page.
Ellen Page, yeah. Again, well directed, really well written, and I love the play in time frame, space and time.
What's so cool about
but as
it,
well the philosophical part of it as well.
Yeah.
I like films that have that intellectual property to them, right?
Right. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And it had that. Like, I loved it when you see the van crash off the bridge and it's falling in slow motion.
Yes.
And then we cut to something else moving, and now and how that physical environment now affects the physical environment in the dream that's a level deeper.
That's
and
right.
then what's
That's
happening
right.
there affects the level even deeper. Like
Right.
It just how everything was interconnected and played off each other. And again, you don't know if you're coming or going, and just the play through space and time. So again, it's the directing, the writing, the directing, and just the pacing of it, the performance, but and just the intellectual concepts that were presented. That's the stuff that just it hooks me, right?
Yeah.
And it's
for sure.
again a great example of really intelligent filmmaking.
Yes.
Well crafted.
Yeah.
And again, just props to Nolan. Like it was. I think it's one of his masterpieces. I really do.
For sure.
I really do.
Absolutely. All right, so my final one, Jaws.
Jaws.
A Steven Spielberg film.
You're going to need a bigger boat.
That was good. You are going to need a bigger boat for this one, ladies and gentlemen. Now, Bruce, Jaws undoubtedly is one of my favorite movies of all time. It was released in the summer of 1975, and as mentioned, was directed by Steven Spielberg, right? And based on the book of the same name written by Peter Benchley, which was hugely successful. Now, this was Spielberg's third feature film. That's it. Only his third feature film. He had directed a made-for-TV movie of the week for ABC in 1971 called Duel, okay, which was fantastic. That's a whole other thing. And then he directed a movie called The Sugarland Express, which I believe came out in 1973, okay? And then he went on to do Jaws in 1975. Now, Jaws was hugely successful. It was the first movie in motion picture history to pass the $100 million mark. It went on to gross $260 million at the box office,
Wow.
becoming the highest grossing movie in motion picture history.
Yeah.
And not only that, it is credited today as the first movie to start the big summer blockbuster craze. And certainly it did.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, what I love about Jaws is sort of for the same things that I love about Halloween. Okay. But the difference between Jaws and Halloween is that Halloween, it was deliberate the whole way through. Jaws, although part of it was deliberate, they sort of kind of had no choice in the end. Jaws had to rely on what you think you see, what you think you hear, probably just a little bit more than they were anticipating because they had so many problems with the mechanical shark. And the nickname for the shark, by the way, was Bruce on set.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love
Kept
that. I'm sure that's where the reference came from for Finding Nemo.
Probably, yes.
Yeah.
And Bruce kept breaking down.
Right.
Okay. And you see, the shark was supposed to be seen more often actually in the film.
Right.
But the shark they were having major mechanical problems.
It's
So they had to rely.
machines in water. Like,
Exactly. And in 1975.
Yeah.
So they had to rely on POV shots. They had to rely on, seeing the fin, ripples in the water, the shark's there, but you're not quite sure where he is. And of course, John Williams' iconic Jaws score. Dun-dun, dun-dun. Dun 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 dun. Just unbelievable. And they had to rely more on that than maybe they would have normally because they had so many problems with the shark. And you don't see the shark in its entirety probably until about the last 20, 25 minutes of the movie, which is perfectly fine. And it worked. It worked so well. It scared the crap out of audiences because he's there, but you can't see him. The character development is unbelievable. The performances, the chemistry between Robert Shaw and Richard Dreyfuss and Roy Scheider is unbelievable. Okay, not just but their characters. They're so well defined. Each character is so different from each other. They play off each other so well. And even though it was made 40 years ago, you watch it today, and I personally still think it holds up. As you can clearly see, I am huge when it comes to mood and atmosphere and suspense. I want to be able to feel the film within my body and really resonate with the characters on screen. So that's why Jaws is in my top 5. Just an unbelievable film all around. Your last one.
So my last one is 300.
Yeah.
Short, simple reason why. It's just badass.
Yeah.
King Leonidas.
Thanks for joining us, ladies and gentlemen.
King Leonidas, it's got just one of the hottest relationships I've ever seen in a film between a man and a woman, Leonidas and his wife.
It's a very guy movie.
It is the epitome of testosterone, of the the ultimate stereotype of what it is to be a man, but that ultimate manness that exists, and I just love that. It resonates with me.
Gotcha.
Just the strength of the character, and like Leonidas just like walking on the battlefield and Shadow Warrior colliding into his shield, in slow motion, and he's like not even flinching, like the Shadow Warrior just walked into a brick wall.
Right.
And just, like moments like when he's like, "You there, what do you do for a living?" And the guy's like, "Oh, I'm a potter." And he's like, "And you there, what do you do?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm a blacksmith, sir." "And you there, what do you do?" "Oh, I'm a potter."
It doesn't matter what you do.
That's right.
No, it's
and
The
he
Rock.
turns to the guy and he's like, yeah, and that's the thing. And he turns to the guy and he's like, "Spartans, what is your profession?" And they're just chanting. And you're like, yeah, dude brought more soldiers than you, hands down. You guys are going to get your asses kicked and the Spartans are going to beat some people up. Yeah, and of course, being a visual artist, I have interest in comics, graphic novels,
right?
Mostly for the art, obviously. There were so many illustrations in the graphic novel, like the storyboard artist did with The Matrix, that they brought to life on camera. That was like bang on. You were like, that's a moment out of the graphic novel. That's a frame out of the novel. You guys just nailed it, and it was. Just stylistically, again, the cinematography, the visual effects, just the It was just badass.
Yeah. Badass.
Yeah.
Folks, comment below. Let us know what you think. Do you agree with us? Are some of our favorite movies your favorite movies?
Yeah.
Are some of your favorite movies our favorite movies? Well, we're going to find out.
Yeah.
You can email us at offthereelmovies@gmail.com. Remember, reel is R-E-E-L, like the movie reel. Oh, it's not on the screen. Whatever. But anyway, the point I'm making is that you can email us at offthereelmovies@gmail.com. You can follow us on Twitter at OTR Movies or on Facebook at facebook.com/offthereelmovies. Yeah, this is tissue. I don't know what he's doing over there. But yeah, join us next time when we talk about the filmmaking process. If you're a filmmaker, if maybe you're an independent filmmaker, a professional filmmaker, a struggling filmmaker, a aspiring filmmaker, and you want to know about the filmmaking process. What does it take to make a good movie? What are the steps of making a good movie? What are the things I have to keep in mind as a filmmaker in order to make the movie that I want to make? You know what I'm talking about? This is the filmmaking process is coming up on the next episode of Off the Reel. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, that is exactly right. I think he said too much tequila over there. Join us next time for the filmmaking process. My name's Dave McCrae.
And I'm Bruce Dale.
We'll see you next time.
Peace out. It's a perfect spot to insert an image of something.
Where's the stop recording button?
Our first episode, which was the review of the Dark Force Awakens. The Force Awakens.
The Dark Force Awakens.
What the fuck is this? What the hell is the Dark Force Awakens? What the hell is that shit?